We're going to keep this pretty simple tonight. Standard old AMA. We have a few things to kind of hint at or chat about first. But I'll kind of flip this format on its head a little bit. We am open to letting people come on and kind of ask questions, but also to make it a little conversational. If people want to treat this as a bit of a 30 seconds to pitch your idea kind of thing, more than open to that. If there's any way we can answer those kinds of pitches or ideas, then we'll do so. So bear with us.
That sounds interesting. This will be the first.
Yeah, keep it a little interesting.
Yeah. I've got a couple of chats coming up saying that they can't hear, but I had suggested to them that maybe they need to log off and log back on. That seems to fix a lot of things here with the Discord channels. I've noticed that for the trivia nights. If I start off and I've got the wrong microphone selected, and I log back in, and it seems to work just fine. Yeah, it seems like that worked for you as well when you logged off and then logged back on.
Yeah, it worked for me. So, and I just got home, so that might have been why I had to reconnect everything.
No, it's all
good.
All
right, cool. Let's not linger too much. I'm sure people could listen back to this, listen to the recording after this.
Yeah.
So, let's start this off. So, some interesting little tidbits. This is going to be a very interesting month. There's a lot of stuff still being planned. As you guys notice, we keep pushing back a couple events on Discord. There's a good set of reasons for that. Certain things are just being confirmed on our end regarding these quote-unquote major announcements. So just keep an eye out. These things are just a little fluid right now, but come the end of the month, there's going to have been a lot of pretty big updates confirmed on a lot of fronts, actually. So just we're more than happy to answer any questions today, but obviously there's not too much we can divulge, but any kind of conspiracy theories are always welcome, obviously. So one of the things I can kind of talk about tonight is you guys will notice in the coming days, we're going to release some information about Comic-Con, what we're going to be doing there. And there's actually a planned utility that's going to kick off in the next week or so related to that. So stay tuned in the next 24, 48 hours. There's going to be something kind of interesting there. It's like a partial utility though. So when you do see the information and the details, just don't fret. We are looking to make it very interesting when it comes to Comic-Con this year. So that's all I'm going to say for now. Just stay tuned on that one. The second big one, we actually didn't announce it last week at the mini town hall we did. We're going to be kicking off our official McFarlane Toys Digital Fan Day weekly submissions. So for those of you who follow the Toy Store accounts on Twitter and Instagram, you'll notice they basically repost fan-made content every Sunday. So we've been asked, and we've been kind of been trying to adopt that formula, but we've been formally asked to start doing it too. So we're going to kick that off probably next week or next weekend. There'll be some details coming in next week about that, but it's a cool little way for those of you who are very, very keen on using the showrooms. And as I know some of you aren't able to still, but for those of you who are, it's a very, very keen way to really demonstrate your creativity. I know some of you from the Toast and Roast have been doing some pretty insane and crazy stuff. So it's just another way for us to kind of thank you guys for doing that. It obviously helps the project a lot whenever you guys repost your content, but we want to make sure it.
Oh, Joe Lowe, looks like we lost you. You dropped out there. I don't know if you're out walking, but you were speaking, and then all of a sudden it dropped out. So I think he may have been lost his signal a little bit. There you go. You're back in.
No. my screensaver kicked in.
Oh, nice.
That's what it was. That's a sign I'm rambling too much for an AMA. But Yeah, so we'll be kicking that off next week. And like I don't know if we're cut off, but basically the gist is just another way for us to thank you guys for helping to promote the projects and to help you guys grow your own audiences. So that's the main thing. So we'll release details there. It's all going to be Twitter based, however, but we'll be hijacking a hashtag most likely and gonna piggyback off of that moving forward. So uh, on juicy announcements, that's about it. There, like I kind of said at the beginning, be on the lookout for an announcement in the next 24 hours or so. There's gonna be something interesting happening around that. There's gonna be a lot of information to take in, but I'll answer all the questions I can over the week and weekend. Other than that, I do very much welcome any kind of feedback on the last couple of drops. Obviously, the Flash was an interesting one. We obviously had to get a little creative to get around the issues there. But again, more than open to make this an AMA slash suggestion box style kind of thing. And like I said, we can kick that off. Unless you have anything you want to say, Shane.
No, absolutely. I mean, more just I just wanted to give a little kudos to you for being able to come to the rescue during that Flash event. I don't think people, in the audience realized, all the scrambling that you had to do in the background to make that happen when there was struggles outside of your own control. So just a shout out to you for making that happen. So I appreciate you being here.
Oh, I appreciate it. It wasn't me. Like I said, we've got really good partners with Third Web, and they came in clutch once again. So that was pretty helpful. Absolutely. But I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will too.
One other thing I did want to put out, I can't remember if it's in the announcements or upcoming things, but next Wednesday, the 8th, Veal and I are going to hold another trivia night. So just wanted everybody to kind of get ready for that. Those are always a lot of fun. So hopefully everybody in the audience is able to attend those. They're usually a good laugh, and we always have a good time doing them. So hopefully you're able to attend that.
Mm-hmm. And I'll get ahead of what I'm sure is at least one or two questions about this. We are just a little backlogged on the POAPs, but they are coming with the Dragon airdrop by tomorrow morning. I'm diving into all that, so hopefully that answers some people's question on that.
Yeah, I know people love the POAPs. They ask about them a lot in the chat. I think there was actually somebody was asking about no QR code for tonight's AMA. So we're not doing a POAP.
No, not tonight. Yeah.
Just
not for tonight.
This is going to be a short one.
We'll kick it off next week.
Yeah. Well, does anybody want to come on stage and have a chat? Have any suggestions? I think, this is one of the great things about being here early is, being part of the kind of establishing how things are going, and all the early adopters, I think, can have a voice. That's an exciting position to be in. This experimenting with the burn today, I'm excited about it. I shared with Jolo, off in our own little chat about, I just like the gamification aspect of it, and I think it's a lot of fun. I think it adds something to this style of collecting that isn't available anywhere else. The kind of that, will you burn or will you not burn? Or the commons all of a sudden going to be the most rare one, and it's kind of a game to play, and that's something that doesn't happen with figures on a peg for sure.
Yep.
We had a question that texted, when's the next Toast and Roast?
Good question. I was just talking to Veal about that earlier. We're trying to confirm a date with Todd. He's heading into a really busy month. I don't think his full schedule has been fully publicized just yet, but it's looking like a pretty busy one. So we're trying to find a date. We might wait a little longer to announce it because there's an extra figure or two coming up, and it'll be kind of interesting to have some extra content there. But like I said, there were hints last week as to what it's going to be, so hopefully people remember what that was. So that might help answer that question. But there'll be one in May for sure. Yeah. It's been long enough.
Cool. We've got Atem has got his hand up. I'm going to bring him up on stage.
Mhm.
Let's see here. How do I do that? Invite to speak. There you go.
Up to you.
All right. Atem, you're on mute right now, but I saw your question in the, while you're getting that figured out, I saw your question in the chat. You were asking when we might be able to buy POAPs on the market. Right now, people are buying them kind of, either through Rarible or OpenSea. But that's a good question. When do we think we might be able to add those to the market?
That's a very good question. I think Aiden, you're unmuted. Was that all your question, or?
No, I have one more question.
Go for it.
Cool.
Okay. Well, good evening, gentlemen. So, well, evening for people here. Good night, everyone, or whatever time zone you're in. First, I want to say thank you guys, for the hard work. Like you said, the flash was pretty hectic, and I'm glad you guys figured it out. And my second question, you guys probably heard me say this a few times, is I'm pretty sure we're like halfway through the season already. And I believe the season should end somewhere in October. When can we start emphasizing on the leaderboards? Like, I'm grateful for all the digital stuff leaderboard wise, but AL wise, when can leaderboards start counting again? That's my main question.
So when you say leaderboard, you mean your rank and that having.
Correct. Your current seasonal rank instead of badges. Like, I understand that there will be badge drops, but we haven't had a single leaderboard based drop yet this year, and we're already halfway through the season. So I was just wondering, like, when are those going to start rolling out?
That's a good question. I think the reason why we shied away from that a little bit was, well, we did do the badge, so like you said, and we kind of decided to play around with a little bit with some more interconnected drops, if that makes sense. But to answer your question, I mean, other than what we did this week with Drip and with what else do we have this week? Wow, it's been a long week. Sorry, guys. I think maybe you'll probably see something this summer. I don't think it'll be the mainstay for a couple of months, but I mean, the Dragon was one as well. There's something going on there too that's going to be revealed tomorrow. So it's kind of touch and go, if that makes sense. We also, obviously, the XP burn that we tried out this week was a bit of a, I mean, it's not leaderboard per se, but it's related to it. There's also another thing we're trying out. That being said, like it's more that we're not just operating around that right now because we wanted to try other things for a little while. Mm-hmm. But it has worked, like you said, in the past. So there's going to be a good time for it, but I can't say I've got like a definitive timeline, if that makes sense.
I see. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you guys will see within the next 6 weeks or so. You'll understand why we may do one or two leaderboard based things, but it won't be exclusively that. We wish we had more to say this week, but it's just not the case. But you'll see, it'll start making sense. Yeah.
Okay. The reason I mainly bring it up is because I feel that leaderboards have definitely drastically changed this season, which is a good thing. People are progressing to try to push their way into the top 100, top 25. But, we've just seen badge drops, and badges, unfortunately, just ignores that progress. So I like to have people more involved instead and be like, great, I made it to the top 100. Now look at it. Now I'm getting leaderboard perks instead of like I'm stuck with a badge 100 and something from earlier this year, something like that. That's just my main concern. But thank you very much for that answer. Thank you, guys.
Atem, before you jump off stage, you come on to trivia a lot, and I see you, and you and I are part of Kid Arcade's project as well, and I just wanted to make sure that I have the pronunciation correct. It is Atem, correct?
Yes, you got it right.
Okay,
correct.
I may have mispronounced it a few times in the past, and I apologize for that. So
no, it's no problem. I let it slide for. I mean, I didn't care, but thanks.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Right, thanks. Appreciate it.
I think to answer his first question though, about listing the POAPs, I think it's not a bad idea. There's no real reason not to. However, right now, obviously, if we did that, we would flood our marketplace with POAP collection listing.
Yeah.
So I think it's more about maybe at some point in the next 5 months, but like I said, in 6 weeks, everything will make sense to, as to why we want to keep the marketplace kind of streamlined and simple-ish, right? Not too crowded or clunky. but there will come a point where it does make a lot of sense. But on the question of POAPs, there's actually an interesting little thing that's being worked on right now, and there it might be an update on that in the next 2 weeks. Yeah,
Nice.
might be. Yeah.
So I mean, within the last, 3 weeks, it's just been just a flood of new information and new stuff coming out with the television stuff. I'm sorry, the movie figures and Flash
Like
and the dragon. Yeah, it's just been a fire hose in the last 3 weeks. So it looks like we got another person with their hand up. The D. I'm going to bring you up on stage. Invite to speak. All right. You are up on stage.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
All right, thanks
Yep.
for coming on.
So I've got like here's my idea, and I don't know if it's a good one, and everybody can let me know if it's not. But when the flash drop happened, I just kind of got a bit of insight. And when we do minting, and there's like allow list 1 and 2 and public and all that, I was wondering if it would be a good idea, for people to, when the allow list 1 ends and allow list 2 starts, instead of canceling the first allow list, let it go for the 24 hours. So anybody who's on allow list 1 has the day to still purchase at that price. And then the same with allow list 2, let it run for the 24 hours so people can purchase at that price. And the same with public. So that way people aren't panicking over the 15-minute grab kind of thing. I don't know if that would work, but I feel like it would really sort of stop a lot of panic when people sometimes can't either get to their phones or their computers or secure funds or whatever they have to do in that first 15 minutes that they only have or whatever.
Well, to answer one part of it, yeah, that is definitely technically doable. And actually, one of the reasons I had to spin up that temporary mint page last week was because there's currently a limitation with the marketplace. So there's actually a very concrete reason. It's not that we don't want to try out a lot of that kind of stuff. But there's a very concrete limitation with the marketplace right now that's preventing me from going through it with multiple prices and current set up in a snapshot. So it's actually it's a very technical reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I had to spin it up. And when I spun it up on the mint page, otherwise I call it the mint page, but it's that extra one I created. It actually allowed anyone in the snapshot with the assigned price points, which kind of what you were describing. Everybody had their allow list prices in there at the same time, and it worked. So it's actually a developer limitation back from when the marketplace was first designed. That we actually ran into it during the Lobo sale when people were not able to. You guys got this error in the checkout form. So yeah, if that makes sense. That's actually why. So again, keep an eye out in the next couple of days, and you might be surprised about what we might start trying out. But right now we're still limited. That's not been updated because last week there were other issues too that Raritable's looking into still. And like I kind of said last week, Raritable's focus right now is how to look into creating more login options in the marketplace, because what last week taught me a lot, and it's not the first time, is being dependent on most of you guys being reliant on this one wallet app, and whenever that thing just runs into a wall, then a bunch of you guys aren't able to participate when it matters. So for us, it was for me, it was very frustrating last week because we were stuck. We were really stuck, and the issues with MetaMask last week were just compounded by issues on Rarible, and on top of that, limitations with the allow list, right? So, yeah, does that answer your question? So the answer is
absolutely.
no.
Yeah, no, it's good to know that it's yeah. No, thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, at the very least, you guys were still able to, your purchasing work is just it's as long as you get to be able to purchase. So that was the problem. We weren't able to get the purchase really. So that was yeah. Beyond that, I'm working on some stuff there. It's just a question of prioritization between all the people involved, really. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, yeah, no, thank you for the info on that, because that really does answer that. And I just wanted to say thank you guys for doing such a great job.
Oh,
No, thanks.
That's very nice of you. I appreciate that. We appreciate you being part of the community. It's, I'm just excited to be here. There's always something new and surprises that I'm not aware of. Like a lot of the movie stuff that dropped, I was like, whoa, when did this happen? It's like there's stuff that happens in the background, and then all of a sudden, like the hose gets opened up and a whole bunch of stuff comes out. So yeah, I'm happy you're here, D. Thanks for coming up.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys.
Awesome. You too. We're doing.
All right. Does anybody else have any? I don't see any other hands on here. We'd love to get somebody else up here if you got some other questions. Oh, there you go. Comic Guy. Come on up. All right. All right. Good to get Comic Guy up here.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. How are you?
Beautiful, beautiful. Can't complain. I had a question for you, Jolo. Back in December, when the remint of everything happened, we had the two options of moving everything from our wallet to a new wallet, holding everything in our wallets, or you mentioned that there might be a third option down the line, but you were still trying to figure it out. Is that third option still on the table, or has it been scrapped?
That's a good question. Let me think back. Third option. I don't think there is one anymore. If that makes sense. I'm trying to think back.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, are you saying that there could be a better way?
No, you had said in the chat the one day that there might be a third option down the line, that you were looking into things with the viewer app or something. So I was just curious if that idea was just scrapped completely or if it was still on the table.
And this is specifically with the remint that happened?
Yeah, I think referring to the remint. Yep.
Okay. No, I think I probably didn't circle back on that because it was pretty set in stone that we just had to remint everything, and people would just get people would just get stuff dropped back into their existing wallets. I think that was probably before I found out from Third Web that for security reasons, those collections were locked up for, to actually prevent the exploit they discovered from being used. So if I'm thinking back to what I think you're talking about, there's no way to hide those or remove them from your wallet, because that would defeat the whole point of locking transfers on those old collections. Does that make sense? That was the technical vulnerability in those contracts, apparently. Yeah.
Beautiful.
That makes sense?
Beautiful.
Sorry, you're catching me off guard a little bit. It's been a while.
Oh, that's all right. And then one more question. Do you think in the marketplace we'll ever see again the recently listed lowest priced and highest priced on the main page? I was talking with a few people over the week, and we've all agreed that we've spent a lot less on the market since that's not there anymore.
I don't think you should put that in the as a never will come back. No. The main reason it was removed, it was because we took an approach of going back to a simpler and more licensor front and center kind of approach. And the one thing that was not really touched on intentionally, because we were focusing more on, we knew at that point we were going to bring on Walking Dead and NBC. And so the focus was more on, how do we now put them alongside DC and, put a spotlight for everybody that's coming in. So that was more the first focus, with the idea of revisiting once that kind of solidified and was, pushing up content for more than just DC at a time would get figured out. And then we'd kind of refocus back on the statistical and analytical kind of metrics and things there. If that makes sense. There's a couple of reasons why we took that route. And then the main one was, we had just dealt with the issue that you just brought up, a reminting, and making sure that the stats from just, the content itself, not, the new collections, would also display, because that was one thing that we were kind of sad about when we realized what the reminting meant. We were without all the good stats from before December. And some of the best stats are from August, September, and October, especially around, I think if it's the the Bane collection, right? That one's it had a huge amounts of volume. So we really wanted to make sure at least, people could see the content, even though it would disappear from most explorers and, trading friendly platforms out there. So after going back into seeing how much of a lift that was, because I think Wearable had to kind of put a quick little hack through their backend to make that display properly for us. They kind of, I think we kind of had to refocus on the design aspect more first. But it does bring up the fact recently, especially that since our focus now is really like doubled down on, the aspect of convincing new people to try out digital collecting for the first time. One thing I don't know if you guys noticed, we kind of wanted to promote a little bit more the fact that, well, these people who maybe have never come around these kinds of projects have not really known what it's like to be able to make a quick buck if you redeem one of these free digital collectibles from Fidgetals, right? So actually, to your point, we did run into this week the fact that that's not very front and center right now. So that's why we actually did actively promote the fact that some people redeemed their dragons in March, made enough money to go and buy a toy if they wanted, right? So there's like all these little things now that have kind of boiled up, like you just did, boiled up for us, that I'm pretty sure are gonna start creeping their way up our priority list. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you very much, Jolo. I appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for coming on stage. Appreciate it.
Anytime, Shen. You guys have a great evening.
All right, you too. Take care. So we had a couple of questions from the chat. I'll go ahead and read through those for you. I don't know if you're seeing them, but Stormy had asked how things are coming along with the mobile app.
Well, that's definitely always something we think about. I don't think anybody in the space doesn't think about it. Is it being worked on? I mean, we work on a lot of things. We weren't like the stuff we have right now is not far from being, mobile friendly, if that makes sense, right? Can I say that there's a mobile app in the works? No, not really. But can I say that it's not up and like front and center in our conversations? Well, we definitely think about it. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
What I can definitely say though is the positioning of the project mid to long term, at least from what I'm being told and the opinions I hear from people who lead all this. We're definitely not blind to what's going on in the space. I think from my personal perspective, we're in a good place because we're not the only ones with that one right now, but that's obviously not going to be like that forever. So, again, wish I could say more, but there's not much to say there because there will be actually much like announcements before we even talk about that will be as big, if not bigger. So, yeah, if that makes sense, there's bigger things right now than just an app to think about on our end. Yeah.
That's exciting.
So, the thing with the mobile app and our project, just so everybody can understand, building an app right now is not really something that is not doable or impossible. What's really the hard thing right now is all the projects out there are kind of on this fence where we're all trying to pitch to new kinds of users, right? Or we try to stay in a lane that's not too crypto degen-y. So right now, I think every project's trying to find that balance. I can name a bunch of them, but everybody's kind of trying to do the same thing. And mobile apps right now, or depending on which project you're talking about, is either something that's more of a catch-up item or is not the immediate front and center thing because there's a lot of stuff being worked on. And I think you can take a couple projects who are thinking about AI right now too, right? So there's like, or gaming. So it's more about thinking in the mindset of, well, is the mobile app really the thing in 3 years that'll make a difference? It probably will get people there, but will it be the thing then? Unclear. I don't think anybody really knows. So that's the thing. So I think the thing with mobile apps and even with stuff like VR or AR, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. When I first joined, I definitely would not be saying this. The space was already very different when I joined the project. So yeah. But then again, it's definitely something we've always thought about. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to talk about that kind of stuff, especially, you're a little more knee deep into it than even the rest of the mods. Just talking about where things are going to go in the future for digital collecting. And you bring up a lot of really good points as far as, we still need to bring in, the physical collectors or other people who are outside of, our kind of smaller group. And I think as time goes along, I think they'll start to see some of the benefits, that are involved. I got involved in digital collecting over 3 years ago, and I immediately saw, the advantages of, just being able to have your collection with you at all times, being able to sell on the market and, not have to deal with shipping and all of those things, just were very, exciting for me. And I think, the hurdle is just getting over, people being a little weary of trying new things. You and I had chatted earlier this week, and I brought up the parallel to when cell phones first came out. I distinctly remember people freaking out and saying, "Why in the world would I want a phone with me? If I leave the house, I don't want anybody, calling me." And now, here we are, 3 decades later, and people, everybody has a cell phone. So, yeah, it's just a matter of time. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get people to understand some of the benefits. And I'm excited about, all the things that we're experimenting with. Like I said, I love the gamification of what we're doing with the dragons and the burning. I think that's a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm just here for the ride. I'm here to see where things go, and I'm excited to be part of it. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. And actually, if I could just close up what I said in a little more specific way, I think the focus right now on everyone, be it warranted or not, right? If you look at the projects that preceded us, it makes sense that everybody should think of a mobile app. But I think what's more important, actually, but that's just my opinion, is the aspect of portability and also interoperability. So those two words I would say are more important than very specifically a mobile app, right? So that definitely has its advantages because we are an e-commerce first company, right? McFarlane Toys is an e-commerce company. So in that angle, so we have a lot of reasons to think about why we would want one. But then again, in this case of MTD, and the fact, we are a blockchain company as well, or a project at least, the dual word mobile app is what I'm putting I'm saying people should maybe put a grain of salt in, because what's more important, I think, is just its experience, not so much the platform and the delivery, right? It's more about like, what is the actual experience, and going backwards from that, that's important. And it may not mean a mobile app, but it doesn't mean that portability is not the angle that's actually important at its core, right? Because that is the one feedback I do see a lot, and I've seen a lot in a lot of the surveys you guys have filled out, which is we've spent time this year already trying to fix the viewer app and make sure it at least works or can be downloaded in Mac and Windows. But I think a lot of you still have issues with it. Not all of you own a $4,000 computer. So it's more about, okay, well, we still have to maintain that thing and work on it. Well, we have to think about it in a way where we have to hone in on, okay, well, just how good does that thing have to be? But then also just how cheap of a device do we need to consider a user needs to really be able to have fun with what they get from us, right? So that's where I think if people start thinking about it that way and what kind of overlaps, that's why I think a grain of salt needs to be taken into account, because to some people's point, not everything is fully aligned for things to be good there in what that means. So yeah, but then again, like I said, a mobile app definitely, if it gets us to a point where in 3 years we um, don't have to worry about a mobile app anymore. Yeah, of course, like Todd and whoever else in leadership ever they come on to one of these things can answer better than me. But like, if it makes business sense and it makes creative sense, then I mean, it's not something that this company would shy away from, right? So all I would say is don't hold your breath, but I would keep an eye on the technology that's out there right now and how it's evolving quickly this year. And there's a lot of changes going on in the mobile and graphics and GPU and AI space where it's going, in my opinion, it's going too fast now to really fully dive into one specific thing. But last year would have been very different. I would agree. A year ago, you could probably do that and not worry about it too much. But right now, I think it's different. Yeah, that's just my technical and technology stance on that.
You definitely dive into the technical side of things, and sometimes talking to you, my eyes glass over because I know that you're getting deep into things that are beyond my capabilities. But yeah, I think I'm picking up on what you're saying. And I agree with you that just thinking about from a technical standpoint. All the changes that have happened just within the last year, and how fast those things are accelerating. Where we'll be in a year from now is going to be dramatically different. So, we had a couple of questions come in the chat.
I'll stop rambling.
Yeah, no, that's all good. It's all good. Let me see here. Draws had asked why the Dragon Burn last minute decision to be 2 million XP as an option. I know you and I chatted about that. And I don't know how much of that you're able to share, but I think it's just part of the experimentation and what we're trying new things to see what people are interested in and what they're not. But go ahead.
Well, you kind of hit it on the nail on the head there. We've talked about it recently for a few weeks. And quite frankly, going into this week and after last week was a busy week. Was it last week where we had the drop in like 5 or 6 promos? We kind of forgot about it because of how busy we got. So I was personally surprised it came up this week and that we were going to try it out. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. But that's actually one of the problems is it's a cool feature, and I saw the feedback. But I think it's worth it. It was definitely worth trying out. So it's I believe the form is not done yet, or maybe I'll double check the form. So it's interesting. Actually, we'll see how many people decided to claim their XP points. It should be cool.
Like I said, I think all of it is fun to try out and experiment with and see what's interesting, what works and what doesn't work. I think we're still in that phase. So yeah, I'm excited about it. We've got JLT Fong's got his hand up. Let me get to that, but there's got one other question here in the chat. Will an announcement, let's see, will the announcement coming also note if there is an event at San Diego Comic-Con like last year? They were only asking because they don't have a ticket to the con, but would make the trip just for that event. I think we're able to talk about that, right?
Could you repeat the first half of the question?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. Yeah. There, Superman 9632 asked, will the announcement coming also note if there is an event at San Diego Comic-Con like last year?
Oh, well, there is one. Yes. So it's already been in the Discord events. We snuck that in there recently. There is one. The date's confirmed. The programming at the event is not, but it's a similar format to last year for those of you who were there or know about it. I was not, so looking forward to it this year. But actually, like I said at the beginning, if I guess maybe the Superman you weren't there, but we'll be revealing a lot more about that in the next 2-3 weeks. Specifically, there'll be a bit of a hint coming out in the next 24 hours And in terms of invites, those are also coming. So this month is when we're doing invites. So that will also be a thing. But again, you can also mention the one caveat: it is a bit of a trip, so you have to be able to make it out there. But yeah, if you get to San Diego when during our pre-conference preview day, as we call it, you're more than welcome if you're if you RSVP. Yeah, if you make it on the list. That being said, it is a limited capacity event, so we obviously can't welcome 2,000 people. But yeah, it should be a good time.
Yeah,
It was
I was lucky enough to go last year, and if you are able to get on the invite list, it's well worth making the trip, even if you don't have a ticket to Comic-Con. It's a great event, and yeah, I think we're gonna be sharing some imagery that I had taken from last year, just showing how fun the event was. So look for that. We got some other questions that are popping up in the chat, but I want to bring up JL just because you've been waiting. So let me bring you up on stage.
Yep. I thought you were talking about me.
Sorry. JLT. I should, my bad. All right.
Yeah.
You're on mute, JLT. But, well, while we're waiting for that, Atem has asked if there's going to be a New York event because last year Todd had a family commitment. Are we going to, is he going to be going to New York?
Todd? Are we?
I guess both questions. Are we and Todd?
No one tells Todd where to go.
No one tells but no one puts baby in a corner.
No. I think that's way too far out to know if Todd's going. For us, Veal works on the toy side more as much as he does on the digital side. So he definitely goes a lot to a lot of these things. So he'll probably be there. I don't know if I'm going. I just know this project's main focus is San Diego.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that goes well. Perhaps we'll have some activations at New York Con. I'm East Coast, so it's a lot easier for me to go there. So who knows? But I just know right now we'll regroup first week of August after the craziness that is SDCC for sure. And if there's an opportunity, maybe we'll go. But that's much less of a promise than Comic-Con for sure.
Yeah. All right, Fong, you're up.
All right, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Hello.
All right, so I'm going to ask the question on behalf of all those who are taking washroom breaks during the mints and such, and those who are on the other side of the world. So just wondering for the allow list times, right? 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why they can't be longer, and to help people out who've got business meetings and who might have to wake up in the middle of the night to attend, and so just wondering if they could be lengthened out.
Well, to answer, I think I partially answered your question earlier with regards to technical limits we have right now with the marketplace and the allow lists. That's the downside, and it's not so much anymore because we now have that mint page. But obviously, we are partnered with Rarible. They are working on removing those limitations. So I don't want to promote this fallback mint page we have now too much. It wouldn't be fair. They do work hard, and they're an extremely lean team. So as much as sometimes we have issues with the platform we use with them, they are there for us, and they are working with us a lot on a lot more than just the marketplace website. So I'm working with them to fix those problems. So hopefully it does open up, to have multiple options like that for sales on the marketplace. That being said, there are workarounds. We have one that we've kind of honed in on that actually will work on the marketplace, and so I don't have to put up a fallback page. So
we're not.
Keep an eye out.
Yeah, so we don't necessarily want multiple active at the same time, right? We saw the chaos of that before. But, why can't 10 minutes be an hour before the next allow list group starts, right?
There was no real reason. I think at the beginning it was for the race element, right? But I think we're all kind of, getting a little, what's the word? we're all kind of just we're used to it. We're too used to it by now. Let's put it that way. So we are thinking about it though, like other options. So there's no reason we can't stretch them out, I think. So yeah, all I'll say is just keep an eye out.
Okay. Hey, and when you get a chance, check my LinkedIn message to you if you can. All right.
Oh, did you send me one?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if I should
I have.
or deny if that's me. If you did.
No worries.
Yeah, I'll
Thanks.
have a look.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on stage. Appreciate it. I mean, I can just share, my own personal story about whenever mints happen over a business meeting, all I know is suddenly my stomach doesn't feel right. I've got to run to the restroom. So there's definitely ways around when minting happens over real life. I've figured out some ways to work it, but every so often there's going to be something that you just can't get out of.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's really, I mean, for me, it's different. I've actually got time booked off for the drops.
Right.
So that is my meeting.
Yeah, I've done that myself, where you put a calendar notice on your work calendar that says I'm going to be in a meeting from this time to this time. They can't book time with you.
No, actually, yeah, that's it's actually been a help because at the beginning there were people who did that, and it was kind of a little stressful.
Yeah, right. You're in the middle of
A little
something.
bit. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm not seeing any other hands come up, and the chat has slowed down with questions, and we're definitely coming up on the hour here. So I think unless anybody else has got some last minute questions that they want to come up on stage and talk about, or some ideas that you want to present, we're always happy to hear some new, fresh ideas. Other than that, I feel like we could probably wrap it up.
Well, actually, I'm kind of curious if anyone has any feedback or questions on how Drip is going on right now.
Oh, Drip.
I think,
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
We could talk about Drip for a few minutes. Yeah. I signed up for that a little while ago, and I'm logged on with subscribed to Todd for sure, and I also subscribe to Mark Spears, and it's been a pretty easy process. I've got my phone set to let me know every 6 hours to log on and get the free drip that you can acquire. So it's pretty easy to get, and it's only like 10 drips to be able to get a lot of the free things. So it's been entertaining to see some of the artwork that people are putting out there. So it's good.
Well, actually, open to if anyone has feedback on that, or we're always kind of cautious of going multi-chain overnight. But if anyone has any feedback or any thoughts on that being in the scope now, feel free to drop some messages in suggestions box. And we tend to rely a lot on Google Forms these days, and I don't love it and I don't hate it, but it does serve its purpose, right? So if anyone has any feedback or ideas there, feel free to drop a line.
Yeah, absolutely. Swishy91's asking how many comics are dropping tomorrow. It's just the one, and just to be clear to everybody, it's just the cover, not the full comic book.
That's actually very important.
Yeah, so you'll be very disappointed if you're expecting to get the full comic book. It is just the cover.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool.
All right. Oh, wait, we got Holy Free Holy raised his hand last second. Oh, sliding in here. Let's get you up on stage.
Do you need to play again? Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Hey, Shane. Hey, Jillo.
Hey.
Everyone in the audience. I have a question about the utility.
Sure.
I get what you're saying about not creating your guys' own mobile app, and because technology is moving too fast. But is it fair to say then, are you gonna not do it at all, or you're gonna partner with an outside company? Like you'll let someone else build it and you'll just partner with them somehow to deliver a cool AR experience, or maybe gaming or another metaverse?
It's a good question. It's not something I'd like if it wasn't too clear. Like I said, I know I said a lot of things. Mobile app is definitely not something we don't want. So it's definitely in the realm of something we'd like to have. The only difference is, just to summarize what I said earlier, right? Like I come from a software background, so I'm used to building things. McFarlane is more like an e-commerce company, right? We sell comic books on the comic side with Todd. On the toy store, there's a whole business behind that. It's more e-commerce. MTD is kind of the first step into this whole other world, right? The digital side. So if you were to ask me, right, a few years ago when I was in the thick of other things, I'd probably go and build it myself. And I've done that before. So people are wondering why I was hired, why I'm here. It's because there were a lot of things to fix at the time, but also because I've done that before, right? I've done those things. So suffice it to say, there's the people here to do that, to build it. But to your point, am I the expert in all that stuff? Am I like the best in the world? Definitely not. So the answer there would be no. We obviously would not be opposed to work with someone who's a lot quicker, has a lot more experience to do that kind of stuff. That being said, like, given all the partners we already work with, DC, NBC, The Walking Dead, and our technology partners, that's kind of what I was trying to communicate, is that there's a lot of elements in the soup right now, right? And I think it's very easy to jump into the wrong thing, or what seems like the right thing now, but then will start being like not the best thing to sink all your teeth into. If that makes sense. So it's more like right now the approach is, okay, if that's something we actually pull off and do, we just need to be very careful about it. If that makes sense. That's something that could just be done overnight. Yeah. And the main, there's a couple of technical reasons about that, like why. There's a couple, business decisions there, but it's just to be clear, it's not a no. It's definitely something that we hear about and see every week. If that makes sense. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Sorta. Yeah, I believe in the team. I believe in the team.
Yeah.
It wasn't like if you guys aren't capable. It's more like we're the people above, the leaders that make the decisions.
Well,
Like,
if that helps, I mean, I know Todd's made comic books, he's made movies, right, in the past, and he's built businesses from the ground up. People who his business partners have worked in movies, have made games, have made software. There's no shortage of experience, and like you said, the team is there if we wanted to pull that trigger. There's no shortage of people who could be found to do it for us and with us. So it's more of a question of, like I said, in the next 6 weeks or so, it would not be the biggest thing for us to work on. Funny enough. Yeah.
yeah,
But
good.
it's more like the rails that would help us over the next 2-3 years, right? I agree with you. Like, I think a lot of people would agree if you ask them. It would make a lot of things easier to have one in the next 2 to 3 years. But I think the opinion and a lot of people in the space is it's kind of a stopgap between what's now in place and what will be there in 3 years. So that's why I keep saying we just have to be
what I'm actually
careful
trying
about
to dig, what I'm trying to actually get from you guys actually is, do you guys see McFarlane Digital as just collecting digital figures and you can play it in a showroom, or do you? It could be 5 years, it can be 10 years, I don't know. But do you guys want to deliver either in-house or partnering with another company an awesome AR experience and gaming and metaverse collaborations? Like, do you want that at some point? That's your utility.
I think there's certain things there. It's not my place to speak about, but there's other things where what I can tell you is, if you ask the right people, they'll tell you what I've said, or they'll tell you yes. So it depends, right? but some of those questions, you're actually shooting a little higher than my pay grade for me to answer, fortunately. But
So
for some of them, it's we've built things in a certain way where it doesn't lock us to a no on those questions. Let's put it that way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well,
I
I
appreciate
think you guys have seen like some of our figures are interoperable, quote unquote, already. Some of the dragons can be put into other apps, and I think we saw a video recently on Twitter. I think it was Bones. I think Bones retweeted it.
Yeah.
A user was able to report one of the dragons into the Vision Pro, which was actually cool.
Yeah.
Saves us from having to see if that works. Yeah, so that's the thing. We built things in a way where those doors will never be closed to us intentionally. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying like it's not something we don't think about and don't want, but it's what I keep repeating though is kind of it's just how we actually operate. We're not a company that just jumps. We like to kind of just think about it before we do that. So some companies they jump. You know, I've worked in startups before and Fortune 500s and large corporations. We're definitely not on the side of just jumping. But we are in some regards. You know, Todd works in a very, very specific way, very artistic, very, the way he is. But and that works, for those elements. But there's other elements like building an entirely new app and supporting that. When does that make sense? I know it doesn't sound like an answer, but it's actually it's kind of the answer right now. Yeah.
No, it helps. Like, so it's you had the forethought to build it in such a way where that's all possible.
Right, and there's a good reason why there was one in December, for example, right? But there's also a very good reason why they brought someone like myself on board. And at the beginning, it was to help fix. We've fixed a lot. I think we're stable now in many ways. We have our core group of users who come back every week, but before we add on an app, there's a couple things like we need to get in my books, for example, we need to get purchasing done down to a T. Right now, it's not. So that's more the thing, right? It's there's a very fine balance for the next 7 to 6 weeks, and in 7 to 6 weeks, you'll understand why. But for now, yeah, that's what it is. But it doesn't mean, like I said, doesn't mean that there's not passionate people who don't try to make certain things work and try to maintain interest in some of those questions you just asked.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Oli. Yeah.
Well, we got one question in the chats here, Superman. Since Todd has certain art rights for things like POAPs, do you think we will ever get a chance to get a physical print of a POAP?
Oh, very good question.
That is an interesting question.
Depends what the POAP is, I guess. Obviously, the cover POAPs we did, that's the good question for Todd. He's busy tonight. For the non-Todd stuff, actually, damn, I wish I could answer the other half of that question. But I can't right now.
Yeah.
But oh, sorry. Okay, I'm still here.
Yeah, you're
sorry,
still
my
here.
screensaver kicked in again.
It's all good.
Long story short is I don't know. It's a good question, actually. Kind of depends on what it is, I guess. Yeah. Not a bad idea.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as always, there's a ton of stuff going on in the background. There's always exciting things around the corner. So I appreciate you taking the time out to do this, Jolo. And yeah, I appreciate everybody who took the time to be here and listen. Like I said, next Wednesday, you can look forward to another trivia night with Veal and I. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to get your funny stuff ready. I always have fun with that.
Yep.
And we should have some other announcements coming soon. We know that in this original posting for this, it said major announcement, but hopefully that'll be solidified for tomorrow. And we'll have a lot more information coming up about San Diego Comic-Con. And it's going to be an exciting next couple of months for sure. So hold on.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep. Buckle up.
Buckle up.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah.